Before we start the regular business tonight, I thought it would be appropriate to take a moment. Pauline Koval passed away since our last meeting, and you know, the whole family had been very active in Barry for many years, and her husband was veterans agent and active in the Legion. So I'd just like to take a moment of silence for that. Okay, thank you. Okay. And just as a note that Greg O'Sullivan indicated a while back that he wouldn't be able to make this meeting, so it's Matt and I are back. Hopefully we won't have a tie vote or anything.
I do hope we can keep things moving.
That's right. Okay. With that said, we have an update from Chief.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Come on up, gentlemen.
And to the point, we have finished our process of searching for 2 new officers, and we have found officers that we forwarded the paperwork upstairs. We'd like to recommend for employment.
Okay.
What's the difference of this for?
The difference is one has spent a couple of years as a part-time officer, so he doesn't require all the FTO that this one does. He's I believe 2 years, 2 or more years of yes.
Okay.
Now, all of this is rather moot, considering we're about to sign a contract, which changes all of that, but.
Right. All right. I would make a motion to accept the appointment of Zachary Matarosian and Trevor McNeil to patrolman for the Barry Police Department.
Okay, I will second it. Discussion?
Let me give you just a little explanation, and the Deputy Chief handled a lot of the process. If you have any questions, he also has information. Both of these officers are in the part-time, they put themselves into the full-time academy. I'm sorry. Officer Matarosian spent part-time at Ocam. And so their academy ends early October. So the date that you see would give us 1 week with them as an employee of the Barry Police Department. So their last week of the academy would be as a Barry police officer. They graduate as Barry police officers and come into the department. So that's why you see the date. And that's you know, when we were looking at this, we were looking for somebody ready to go, and we got these two applicants that really have done well to put themselves through the academy.
All right. And so it'll time out, it'll just be 1 week before they actually get the certificate, pretty much saying you've graduated the academy. Okay. No, it sounds good. Do you have anything else, or?
Okay. Did we vote on that?
You
No.
did not.
No. What?
You did not.
Okay. I'm off to a good start.
That's all right. Long weekend, we'll just put it there.
I don't know about that, but anyway, we had a motion that was made and seconded. Call for a vote.
Aye.
In favor? Opposed? None? Okay.
Are you handling their paperwork, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, I'm missing a couple things, so I'll make a
Yeah,
list for
at the
each of
bottom.
them
All right, very
and
good.
send it back down.
Sounds good.
And the policies.
Thank you.
Yes.
I can
Did you
email
have
those
anything? We've got,
so we can have
maybe
them
we
just-
can move around a little bit, but we were going to have I placed on the agenda a discussion on Stetson School, and I think you wanted to speak with us about the public safety building.
Correct. Well, just to give you an update on that, we've been pushing to make some progress on our Stallwood charter. I actually did receive 2 emails just prior to this meeting, which seemed to indicate we're kind of moving in the right direction as far as them providing quotes, but I think that there's still a little bit of back and forth that needs to go on, unfortunately, before we really get the ball rolling with Charter on that. I know other than that, there's just some access and control issues that still need to be addressed, and then some issues that the chief had pointed out as far as internal doors that still need to be corrected from the contractor's side. But you know, we're still pushing forward to try to get that taken care of.
With the contractor, I got a notification that they'll be there tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
To do some of that final stuff.
Okay, after Charter makes it in, are there other steps we have to do to then close the loop and say it's on, it's running, the network is connected? So in other words, Charter may connect on a Monday, but it still might be Friday before you're able to move in. I was just curious if...
From our meeting today, it was basically once they come in and they put the box in, the Charter box, that'll be it. You know, Adam is still working on some of the things that need to go in. He's going to be installing the computers, the network switches, all that is going to be in place for when Charter comes in to put their line in.
And do we know if that's in place, I mean?
As far as the computers and all that stuff, currently they're not. But they're all in boxes upstairs. And it was kind of a chicken and the egg thing, and we basically instructed him, put them in, so that with the day that fiber line comes in, we're online.
And
We want to be able to work out of that, or not necessarily work operations out of the building, but be able to use the building for any, you know, amount that we can, less the actual internet connection, such as trainings or such as that we already have scheduled.
The only other question I had on that is, if I'm correct, all of this is still planned to be funded through the special town meeting account that said we need so much for the rest of that.
Correct.
Does that include what Adam's crew is doing on the console, so it doesn't take from his project hours there?
Yes.
Okay, so
It
this
should
is
be,
above and beyond the monthly thing we're doing with him?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind, then they don't have to, just want to brief them as to what I was thinking on Stetson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I understand that there was quite a, here a week or so ago, I guess it was on a Sunday night.
Right.
You know, I certainly heard about it, the incident. Some people made a suggestion, is it possible to do a reverse 911 on a situation like that?
It is possible, and we're in the process of doing it when that situation occurs, and I'll let the deputy chief address it.
Yeah, I was notified that the situation was going on and that the air wing was overhead, and I was just gathering information to put out a reverse 911.
Yep.
It's just by the time I got that information, we actually had located the subjects, so
Okay.
I determined that the reverse
Okay.
911 wasn't necessary. But in the future, going forward, I plan on putting that information out as soon as possible via reverse 911.
We've also looked into code, well, we've been shown how to do a code red, which is reverse 911, type of a notification through emails and such, and we're trying to put that in place for events at Stetson so that you get reached a number of different ways, because we recognize the issues.
Right. Okay, because I know that the town clerk mentioned a code red list or something that she thought could be used for certain situations, and I didn't know if it was in place yet or not either, but I knew she had been talking about it a few months ago. And
one of the things that you have to keep in mind with Stetson is we play against the clock. They tell us something has happened hours after it actually happened. So on the law enforcement side, as we're checking off our list, we're behind. We're trying to catch up and establishing a perimeter and getting other assets in, and that event may have played itself almost out, and we're just getting in place. If we knew immediately, and I think that this is something that we need to talk about more as a good neighbor policy between all of the players in Stetson. We don't hear about it soon enough sometimes, and there's all sorts of good reasons, but for us to get the information out to the general public, we can't be so in the rears, so we're still playing catch-up when it resolves itself.
okay, is there? I know that right now, I mean, the minute you step out the front door of one of those buildings, there's no perimeter security or Is it something that we should be asking them to create some, even if it's a 3-sided perimeter, so like street side access is one thing, but running out the backyard is more the
I believe
12-foot fence, you know, because a 6-foot's not really stopping anybody any more than just open tree line.
I believe so. I believe that there should be a perimeter fence, and even if it weren't 12 feet high, it would establish a legal boundary. And there's, again, for another time and for maybe a meeting of good neighbors, we can discuss why we think that even, you know, any fence is better than having no fence, and what it would do for us and for the neighbors, for people that live around it. But to answer your question, yes, I do think it's something that we should be talking about.
Okay.
Okay, one of the things that I had thought of was after this, and you know, I've been thinking about this for quite some time, some of these issues, and you mentioned good neighbors. In my mind, they aren't good neighbors, and they keep expanding and expanding and expanding, and and they haven't got control of the situation. I'd like to have somebody from that organization, preferably the people that actually run it, come in and talk to us. And I think they need to make a good faith effort so that you're not up there all the time. The other thing I had thought of, I understand you have to go up, but if we have alarms that are malfunctioning and stuff, after a while we charge for those, and this is totally out of control up here. And they're going to build more buildings, and if the CEO at Seven Hills can make whatever it is, 700, 800,000, then they can take care of this situation.
My recommendation is putting together a committee that represents the key players in town, of course the Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, Police Department, Fire Department, and whomever else you decide, and Stetson, and establish what a good neighbor would be to us, because I agree, we're the good neighbor. And if you're not, then okay, but these are the things we believe a good neighbor should be, and sort of take control of it that way.
Yeah. Start on common ground somehow and then build off of that.
We have expectations.
Yeah, and I think and I also think that part and parcel with this is the state is somewhat culpable in this whole situation as well.
Could be somebody to reach out to with a committee, get everybody to the table, see where we're at. I mean, definitely we have the stake in this because it's all our residents that are affected.
Yeah, one of the things that I had thought of, not time to do it yet, but before the end of the calendar year, I think we ought to just ask our representative and senator to file a bill on the town's behalf, or just all the municipalities, however we want to handle it, and just say, you're going to have to pay and for everything that you're incurring in these outside placements, and you wanted community-based housing, well, with it goes certain responsibilities. And I don't, they're as much to blame as some of these nonprofits. And, I don't know if this is a problem all over the state, but it certainly seems to be a problem here. But I think they should be paying for education, or at least making an effort to help. And I don't mind having them into one of these meetings and just saying, we're going to put together the committee and just say, enough is enough here. And, something, and heaven forbid, I don't want to see anything violent or really bad happen, but, they don't seem to be making much of an effort here. Maybe they are, and I don't know it, but, they don't have any security of their own, right? Or minimal.
I suppose, again, it would be what your definition is, or our definition is, and that would be something that we'd have to come to an agreement on, what we would both call security in downtown and the town.
Okay. You want to have them in first, or?
Yeah, I think we should call them in, see what they have to say, just to start off with. And that's probably more of a formal way we can introduce the idea of more of a joint committee with key parties involved and do something about it. But yeah, just see if we can ask them to attend one of the next couple select board meetings. Don't want to push it out too far so we can actually make progress on it.
Start with the 18th, we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it very much.
Have a good
Thanks.
night.
Yep. Okay.
Please, wage authorization.
Yeah, we can do that later. Where'd that go?
Came back to you.
No,
Okay,
you're happy.
do either one
It's
of
fine.
you folks have anything you wish to add, or Dennis?
Just wanted to say something about Stetson. Every college around here has a campus security office. Every college, private, public.
Mm-hmm.
They should have their own campus security that has immediate contact with our police department. Like the chief said, they find out way after the fact, which causes a lot more chaos, kind of like catch up with them. That should be something that should be recommended to them. They need to get their own security.
Right, and, you know, I know when I was working up in Templeton and the Department of Developmental Services, they eliminated their security and went to relying on the towns in the area. And, I mean, you know, not that it can't be done, but I mean, I don't know how much consultation went with it, but they expect a lot from Phillipston, Templeton, and to some degree Winchendon. And, you know, it's not really, you know, fair. And I know many times the staff was admonished, you're not to call the police because they don't want the publicity. But, you know, they didn't have that problem. It wasn't a big problem when I was there. These guys, but this seems to be in a class by itself. Just that, and I think if we're going to go down there several times a week, we ought to be, at this point, we just ought to send them a bill. And, you know, I have an idea what the reaction will be, but it's out of, you know, to me, that thing last Sunday night when people were quite concerned with the helicopter flying over their house with the spotlight. It was kind of strange, I
Pretty
guess.
worried about it.
Yeah.
Rather than getting the word out to the people. You know,
Yeah,
lock your doors, keep your eyes open. If you see anybody, let us know.
yeah. Well, that was the
When
idea.
you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, that was what we were doing with the reverse now.
We do have a code red.
Yeah,
It's an app you can have on your phone, but if some people don't have a smartphone, so, you know, unless they're by an email or whatever,
Yeah.
between phone and,
But it at least helps with the word of mouth, because some people with that then know how to tell other people that don't have it, and it starts to get some gist of
Yeah.
the issue out there.
The thing with Stetson, when they started off, they were just a home for boys.
right.
They didn't have any real problem kids. All the kids went to Quabbin. But I don't know how they started. I was trying to think back to when it switched over. And I couldn't remember, almost like they did it without us knowing it.
it's about 20 years.
Because wouldn't you have to have gotten permits and
Yeah, the
permission
charter for the
that?
place, it was supposed to be a home for orphan boys originally from Lynn, as I
Yeah,
recall.
yeah.
And it kind of, I don't know how it got to this
I'm
point.
wondering how it,
Use of the facility and permits are usually classified on general types of use. And this could fall under kind of like the general institutional or some similar classification that has multiple underlying things, where it could be an orphanage, but that per building usage and general business description and all that still fits the same thing as the current occupants of the place.
not when you're bringing in.
By permit. By permit that if the municipality has a say in, I should say, it may exactly not matter how that building is being used to the detail, just it's a healthcare facility, or it's an institutional facility, or it's an educational facility, or whatever they call themselves. The specifics of what they're doing within that are not necessarily regulated by the permits that the town is involved in I don't disagree that there may have been a state permit that says you can do this type of thing with this type of clientele, but now you're doing that.
Now, when they go to have these homes, rehab homes put in towns, the towns have to vote for it. They have to approve it. Because there were some that refused,
Okay, thank you.
and they couldn't bring them in.
Well,
Yeah.
it might not fit in the zoning criteria, but I think Matt's correct, like what he's saying.
No,
If
it
a building
was
permit
because of
is, if a permit is
environment.
pulled for it to be an institution, the permit isn't pulled for it to be an institution of class A, class B, class C. It's just
Hmm.
a general permit.
Once it fit our zone criteria
Right.
and the building has already been built, we don't have nearly as much say of what they do within that building in that zone anymore, as long as it fits that criteria.
Yeah,
And that's kind of where I think Charlie's speaking about maybe some state legislature might be due.
I'm talking about legislation, get the money back.
Well, right, but I mean,
And I think they
I
have,
think it should be regulated, or they should have a fence. They
well, they
should
didn't have any when
have
they.
more security
and-
now because of the type of client they have in there.
Yeah, and it's not, you know, I read in the paper after the legislature finished the budget that Department of Developmental Services was one of the few agencies that had an increase in their budget. And it was a big one. It was $54 million because they've had cost overruns. And I think enough is enough. And to me, you know, I understand we can't zone individuals out, and I would never do that. But I mean, at the same time, there's a fine line between what they're doing and subdivision and the whole thing there, and I think they need to go through a hearing process, just like any other builder at some point, about what they're doing. And I understand the issue with, you know, handicapped people and so on. I'm not advocating that, but you're not exempt from local zoning. And I think we ought to just,
Have these, you know, all these buildings, have they gone through the site plan review process?
what?
Have these buildings gone through the site plan review process to the planning board?
Yes.
the new
Then
one's
that's-
actually going through that, I think, or
That's-
Yeah,
just
they have
finished,
one-
right?
They have one that's just finishing, so
Yeah.
there's
Then that's
only,
the
one.
Then that's the floor where it's.
we only have a couple new buildings right now. They did like a remodel on the old existing, but there's only a
So
couple
when they come in and
new
do a new
ones.
building, they're gonna propose that. I mean, that's the opportunity for the planning board to really look at it and say, well, you're increasing the population size, we feel that you need to be,
Mhm.
your security by
Yeah.
putting in a fence and this,
Well,
that, and
anyway.
the other thing, so.
But-
Food for thought.
Yeah.
One last thing on just the general security of a site. Can we see if we can find out the regulations that are currently in place with the state about the type of occupants and the type of security that may be mandated for each site?
Okay.
Or if there are any, because that also might be something that would really be key to include. If you're gonna look for legislation on pay me for services, it also might be,
Mhm.
how can you not have some type of regulation on what you might be considered high-level offenders being housed at a place and not having any type of perimeter security?
I remember dealing with a similar situation to this. I don't think this was, you know, back in my former community, we have a hospital, and obviously, you know, pretty
Yeah.
big one. But when it was run by UMass, they never had security. And it was always a burden on the town to keep up with basically being the security team for that. Once Bay State took it over, they put in their own security. So whether or not that's actually, you know, for their own community benefit or for their own personal security, you know, it might be a personal security thing rather than an actual state mandate, because I feel like it's a similar population, probably under similar regulation, so. But I'll look into it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I remember because I was a big proponent for wanting to push them to have their own security, because you know, it's one of the biggest taxes on your public safety.
Yeah, exactly, and it's much more costly for us to provide it than them.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have the continuation of our poll petition on Adams Road.
Yep, and I provided the information from you earlier from Jason that he hasn't had an opportunity, or he has met with National Grid on this, but has not fully rectified the situation yet, so it's still ongoing.
Okay. Okay. And we have a one-day liquor license request.
Yes.
What time, we had a time schedule for that, right?
It's not a hearing, but I did tell them 7.
Okay, we'll just.
So if you just wanna
Yeah.
push that until they get here.
Yeah, we'll go around that, okay? That all right with you? The wage authorization, that's in addition to what we just did?
If you
Yes.
can formally vote on the wage authorizations,
Yes.
We did.
that would be good,
We
but
did,
Unanimously said yes.
to appointing them,
appoint them, that's right. Yeah,
not
send it
accepting
back.
the wage
there's
authorization
those-
as written.
All right.
Yeah,
But I
there's
have
those
other
two.
ones
Yeah.
also, so,
Okay,
we have a bunch of them actually.
Yeah, the one that we did need action on from you guys was for Eric Walters to be appointed as,
Yeah, I have a few of them that
Okay.
need to get done, so.
and that one was being held because you guys need to formally appoint to that position.
Because it's on the same agenda item, I do have a question more related to efficiency.
Okay.
When somebody comes before the board to be appointed, can we do the wage authorization at the same time and consider it a single vote? Because it's the same thing. It's an all-in-one thing.
I
A
guess
wage
I would just-
authorization after
one-
you're hired
Right.
is a different step.
I guess
Right.
one comment I
that's-
could make is if during the motion to appoint them, to just spell out what the wage authorization details. Because you guys made a motion just to appoint these as
Mhm.
recommended, but it doesn't state that this one's starting at this one's starting at X rate or anything. That's all. That would be
It's
my
just
only
that this is-
comment.
Yeah, I
that's an
mean, we can
internal
verbally
policy thing,
do
so
that.
It's not necessarily a legal
Right.
precedent, it's just an internal policy, so,
Right.
I mean, we can handle it however you guys see fit.
And additionally, which does play a little bit into public open meeting law, the last DPW commission, we all voted to appoint Eric Walters.
Right.
Had we had the wage authorization there and just called it a select board meeting and like we do with finance committee?
You can't do that because separate minutes would have to be taken and there's not a posted meeting for the select board.
No, that's what I'm saying. So when we know what's coming, we post it. Just like
If
we
you
do
could
finance
if you
committee
could do it
meeting when the two are gonna be there, and then the select board meeting minutes always just say, refer to the finance committee meeting minutes.
But if you vote on it at, if you vote on it at the DPW meeting, you're voting as a DPW commissioner. You're not voting on it as a select board member.
But we are, if we post it saying this is a joint meeting where we're playing both roles. Could you talk to at least the Attorney General about this issue because it's redundant and inefficient? Yet if we still are posting it as both these things are happening and the select board's agenda is specific to this item, not this is the best we know is, this is all the select board is gonna talk about at this meeting. I think we might be able to still just make this a little more efficient and just get it done in one meeting and not wait 3 weeks to do the follow-up wage authorization.
I think the only comment that I would have is in the past, I had done select board finance committee meeting minutes as one, because it was
Mhm.
one meeting, and Ellen actually was rejecting them. She said it's not correct, because if somebody wanted to go back to see what the select board did, it's unclear. So it would have to be a posted meeting and someone would have to take separate meeting minutes, which Shannon's not obligated to take your meeting minutes for select board. She's not your admin. So she's not obligated to do that, but
Only if, I mean, maybe a recommendation could be if you posted for after the DPW meeting. And once the business completed and you decided to open for a new select board meeting, take that vote and be done with it rather than.
it is
You know,
That's
redundant.
more what I mean. It's
Okay.
just and even if we do it
Yeah.
after, again, yeah, either way, I just think.
It's tricky being a, kind of inter-board board, where it's not just strictly, select board and strictly finance meeting, where it's
Right.
basically you guys are, a guest of the finance committee or a guest of the DPW.
See, I mean,
Where
the
you're
other
posting,
pictures.
where you're posting, as a select board meeting and as a finance committee meeting. You're posting
Yep.
as DPW. So if you were to post it as a DPW meeting, and then maybe at the same time a select board meeting, and then if there was additional items to take action on relative to the DPW meeting, to then reopen it as a select board to take those actions.
Yeah, we would have to do that after, right?
Right.
That works for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the other reason I bring it up is the Water Commission had to do it before the DPW Commission, and then the Select Board does it again. So
But
to actually finalize the paperwork and the decision took
Right,
a month and a half for a guy to get his job and his pay.
right. But it's the same reason why the water commissioner didn't take it up during the DPW meeting.
But that's my point, is
Sort
we
of.
are all there, and I'm just asking if there's any way that if we talk to the Attorney General and say, this is how our town's built, this is the situation, what do you advise?
Right. It's just, I think it's
Well, I
just
think-
more of an organizational
Yeah, the one
deficiency than a.
Well, the one quirky thing is, as a commissioner, you're not the appointing, I mean, you're not the, what's the word, not human resource, but the personnel directors. On the DPW commission, you're not a personnel director, and as the personnel administrators, you guys have to vote as the select board. So the only way to do it would just to be post a separate meeting during that time, but
Okay.
Yeah,
it's hard because the DPW meeting
Yeah.
could run 5 minutes, it could run an hour, so it's hard. Do you post it at 8 o'clock, but you guys finish down there at 7:15, and then you sit for 45 minutes?
My recommendation would be to post it concurrent to the DPW meeting, because you can always open a session after it's posted time, you just can't open it before. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's something we could do in the future to just avoid this, if we know that there's an appointment upcoming or something that's gonna need select board action, so it's not delayed.
All right. And then it would just be getting Shannon to work with you to let you know what, if they see an appointment on their agenda, then they just make sure you know that they're also gonna look to try to close that wage authorization so we can post it timely.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Can't do that, you can't do a wage authorization for somebody you haven't hired.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Okay,
that's,
we've got something to do,
It
right?
is duplication,
Yeah.
but unfortunately,
That was kind of a
it's just how
rhetorical
it
comment.
works.
It's tough.
It used to be so easy, like when we'd go to your meetings, you post it and we could go. The finance committee would post it, we could go and be part of the discussion without us posting separately, and it used to be so easy.
I'm currently working, right before this meeting, I was working on an organizational chart that everybody can refer to say, this person responds to this person responds to this
Yeah.
person, so that we're all on the same page, and kind of know, at least we can publicize that as far as process.
yeah, it does help.
Yeah.
But it used to be so simple. We didn't have to post if we went to your finance committee. We could just show up and.
The agenda was posted and,
Now it's, I
Open
mean,
meeting laws.
yeah, I mean, it just, we wouldn't take a vote or anything, but we could be part of a discussion and, I don't know. Okay, how many you got, Peg?
I got, so if you want to do, the first one was Zachary Martirosian, at $22.17 an hour with a start date of October 2nd.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept Zachary Matarosian at $22.17 an hour for a full-time patrolman position.
Okay, and I'll second that. Discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote, in favor? Yep,
Aye.
okay.
The second one is Trevor McNeil, 2057, start date of October 2nd.
I make a motion to accept the wage authorization for Trevor McNeil at $20.57 an hour, starting October 2nd. Full-time position as patrolman.
Okay, and I'll second. Discussion, hearing none, call for a vote, in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next one we have is from the building department for Robert Legier, I think his name is, as the building inspector, $20.11 per hour. And he started back in July, but because we were working through the contract and then the appointment, we had to do a wage authorization for him.
The hours per week isn't on that one.
Just didn't fill it in. We
No,
can
it's
scribble it in,
5.
it's 5 hours per week.
No, I mean, it's not even on that form.
I don't know. I'm not sure. You
Alright.
can just write it in, if you wanna just
Oh, that's why.
scribble it in over here.
It's an old.
Yep.
I make a motion. Is this an appointment as well as a wage authorization, or just?
You
We already-
guys-
We already made this.
We already made this.
I thought
one.
so, okay.
Mhm.
Make a motion to approve the wage authorization for Robert Laguerre at $20 an hour, estimated 5 hours per week.
Okay, now second. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
Another one that we're just catching up with here is Kelly Garlock. You guys made the appointment for the assistant accountant, and we just did not do the wage authorization. So that is for her.
We actually had voted, made the formal vote on the wage authorization. I think that just needs a signature.
Okay.
Been done. You need to sign this.
So we have Eric Walters, as you spoke about. DPW as the chief water operator, which began August 14th, rates $24.53 an hour.
Make a motion to accept the wage authorization for Eric Walters to $24.53 an hour due to his appointment of chief water operator.
Okay, now second. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
The next one is Paula Bartkus with a step increase as the assessor's clerk, moving up to a step 2, and she's proposed to make $16.16 an hour.
I make a motion to accept the step increase for Paula Bartkus. Raises her to $16.16 an hour.
Okay, and I will second that. Discussion or hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
The next one is an increase in hours, not an hourly rate, for one of the paramedics, John Hanson, who currently works 20 hours a week for us. He will be moving up to the full-time paramedic that the chief has run down with us. So he'll go from 20 hours to 36 to 40 hours. It may
Okay.
fluctuate, so that's what this one is.
Is this technically also an appointment to the full-time position?
He's already considered full-time because he's 20 hours a week.
That's full-time?
Anything over 19, because
Oh.
you're entitled to health benefits after that.
Yeah, and he already is currently receiving the benefits.
Okay. Well, I just didn't know if this is
Yes.
actually filling a position that just recently got created, so is it appointing him to that position? Not as a full-time employee, but to the full-time medic position?
You could make that.
Yeah, if you'd like to make
Mhm.
that
Okay.
appointment, that's fine, just to affirm it.
All right, I'll start with the motion of, make a motion to appoint John Hanson to the full-time medic position.
Okay, now second. Favor?
Aye.
Good, you're ahead of me here.
I'm with you. We're just in sync.
In sync, yeah. Okay.
I make a motion to accept the wage authorization that increases the hours from 20 hours a week to 36 to 40 hours a week for John Hanson.
Okay. Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
All right, the last one is, sorry. The next one is Dylan Pond, as a firefighter apprentice. with an hourly rate of $14.50 per hour.
Is this similar? We're gonna do both?
Sorry, what was
Do we have to
Yes.
do both,
Want that
appoint
one,
him
or-
and?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I make a motion to appoint Dylan Pond as a firefighter apprentice on call, the Berry Fire Department.
I'll second. Discussion, hearing none, in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to accept the wage authorization for Dylan Pond as a firefighter apprentice at $14.50 an hour.
Okay, second. Discussion, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye. There you are. We said no. No, I'm just, I'm just.
I feel like the fire chief.
I don't know if you sign it or, yeah, get it.
Yes.
That's this one.
Okay. Did we get that one signed?
Yeah. I believe he's got the last one that he's signing for Dylan.
We're all set.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go back to the one-day license, and what do we,
So Molly's here.
yep,
She's looking, Stone Cow Brewery LLC is looking to have a one-day liquor license for a private wedding on 9/16, is that correct? From 3:30 to 11, and there's going to be a tent set up, so they're serving outside of their license. So they're
well,
looking
this
for
would
a
be
one-day,
outside, right?
outside of their license, correct?
Yeah, okay. Did you wish
So
to add any?
Yeah, it's, our license does allow for beer outside, but this is for wine, and so it's just so that she can have wine at her wedding.
Okay.
It's an employee who's worked for us for
Okay,
a long time.
I would make a motion to accept the one-day special liquor license requested by Stone Cow Brewery
okay, I will,
on September 16th.
yep, I will second that. Discussion, or? Ye- Nothing else to add? I know all about, I remember these days running into these meetings after milking. I know
There
all
must be a
about
signature on
it.
that
So with
page.
that said, I'll call for.
All of us?
Yes.
Call for a vote, in favor?
Do you
Aye.
want this
Yeah.
right now?
Okay, so we,
Do you want to copy this right now?
Sure.
I can make it once they sign it if you'd
Or,
like it.
or either, whatever.
It's up to you.
Yes, we get a full sign.
Okay, I'll make a copy.
but I sure do remember that. At 7 o'clock is,
It wasn't milking, it was, we had a dry cow calf way back in the pasture, and we couldn't find the calf,
Hmm.
but we just found her before we got here, so.
7 o'clock is tough, I know. See, that's the only one we have to sign. Okay, here you go.
Thank you. And that's all I have for the one day.
Do you need to make a copy of that?
I will, I'll make it really quick if you don't mind. You can go on to the resignations that we have up here.
Yeah, we can take just a quick break if that's all right with you.
2 seconds.
Matt, we'll take a quick.
Thank you.
All right. Take a
I gotta use those.
10-minute recess.
Yeah.
I will return to
Those are
business
fast.
at 7:40, 7:25. I think I'm getting close to this formal process.
Okay. We have some discussion on a municipal hearing officer.
So, I know I had mentioned previously that Chief Rogowski and Brianna Scavero were going to be in here to discuss this, but they met with me today to kind of give me the overview of the process. So, originally they had thought that, you know, Chapter 148A was going to have to be adopted locally in order to get this process going. But it turns out that that's actually a state, it's not a local option, it's actually state mandate, so that's not a process that they'll have to go through. From this point, if we would like to go forward with the appointment of a municipal hearings officer, what we would do is we'd appoint this person to the position. Once they're appointed, they'd be required to attend a training at the Mass Fire Academy. Usually those are held once per year in about late April, early May sometime. Once they've completed that training, then the fire chief will receive a ticketing book from the state fire marshal's office, you know, for any violations that might come up under 148A. The person who can, anybody who has this position, they can't be a member of the fire department, a employee of the building commissioner's office, or the town's legal counsel. But other than that, it can pretty much be anybody. The state sets a minimum stipend for this position at $2,500. Right now, Chief Rogowski is actually looking at some of our surrounding towns to see if anybody has a municipal hearings officer who'd be willing to be a regional officer for us. That way we could either split that cost or hire them on a per diem basis based off the number of complaints filed. Because if we just have to hire somebody at $2,500 per year, we probably will never make that money back in the fines that we issue. So that we're looking at what our options are, and then if there's somebody who's willing to come right in, then we don't have to wait until next April for them to go through the training, get them on board, and then start fining. We can basically get them right on and start issuing fines right off the bat. So that's where we are in this process.
The question I have is the municipal hearing officer. It appears that what we're speaking to here is specific to fines incurred from failure to maintain fire regulations for your building.
Yes.
Or building regulations.
Correct, yes.
Do they go to other, say like zoning issues? Do they also play the ability to do that for those?
Yes, but it's that more falls on the zoning enforcement officer, which would be the building commissioner. So in turn, basically this person acts as a appellate board for those person, which is required under 148. If they don't, then it goes straight to the state, and the state collects the money.
Okay.
So it's basically allowing us to collect fines for violations of our codes.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you looking for action from us, or is this
No
an
action
update?
tonight. They were originally asking to be on here for action to go toward adopting 149 or 148A, but since that's not required, they'll be back in front of you with a request for appointment at some point.
Okay.
Okay. You all set?
I have nothing for this.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have discharge of the mortgage for the community development block grant.
Yeah, we have 3 for this property, so.
Okay.
So they all go to the same property, which is 396 Summer Street.
Mhm.
The first one that I'll ask you to do is for, all the criteria was met. Jim Baird, still, we're working on that form, so there's no form for that person to sign off on as of yet, but the criteria is met. This one's for $3,032. It's for Richard Carlberg and Margaret Carlberg, and like I said, of 396 Summer Street, Worcester. Want me to just go through all of them? And then you can make a
Yeah.
motion just to approve all of them?
Yeah, go
Yeah.
to it.
Okay, the next one was for $19,900, for the same property, same owners. And the last one is for $1,141.23. I just wanna make a note that, the first one that I gave you, which was for $3,032, it appeared to have been discharged in the past, but was never recorded. So at this time, we have done this in the past where we just reissue a discharge because this discharge was done in '06 supposedly, but
Okay.
was never recorded, so.
Who's required to do the recording? The owner?
Correct, or,
And
the
then
legal,
do they
yep.
send us something saying it's been recorded?
They're supposed to, what I do is I keep notes on them and I check them kind of monthly. I log into Mass Land Records and look for them to make
Okay.
sure, and then I kind of follow up against the law firm. Sometimes they think that they're going to do a transfer and maybe it gets hung up. So they probably record it all at the same time, like when they do the deed transfer. So if for some reason the
That doesn't
sale
happen, it
hangs
gets
up,
lost on the
yeah,
desk.
exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'd make a motion to accept all three discharges of mortgage at the same property to the same owners. Starting with the $1,141.23. The second one was $19,900, and the third one was $3,032.
Okay, I will second. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for vote. In favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
1-0.
Hmm?
Can I just have them?
I placed this the next item on the, asked it be put on the agenda, and that was a discussion on a special town meeting. We had spoken at the annual of having one in the fall, and if we were gonna do it, then we need to start to set things up.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
yeah, we talked, when we spoke with Ellen this afternoon, what was the date? The 14th?
The 14th, yep.
Yeah.
14th of November. He's gonna sign it. I'll make sure it happens.
Which is,
Tuesday again?
yeah, Tuesday.
Dry throat.
And we would have to open the warrant and then decide how long it would be open for. We needed, not an excessive length of time, but, you know.
All right, but I want to include the ability to bring in the capital planning committee's input on this, because whatever we put on the warrant is still going to need a little input or approval from the finance committee, et cetera. So I want to make sure that we don't open it, so,
14th of November.
and then it's kind of like I want to make sure that they have input, and then we actually answer to that when they're finally done saying this is our recommendation. So I don't know how long.
We'll be meeting with them tomorrow, so.
You're meeting with them tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
both or just capital?
Just capital. The
Just
finance
capital.
is meeting on the 20th, so we could post a selectmen's meeting on the 20th, if you so chose.
On the 20th?
Okay.
And then we would have to close the warrant on like the 22nd or the 21st or the night of the 20th, because we can't close the warrant until we actually get through the review process and agree on the final items to be in it.
No, we can close the warrant. You don't have to necessarily put everything on.
Say that again, Matt, the 20th of what, September?
That's the meeting you were saying, the finance
Yes.
committee meeting, and I'm just trying to make sure I understand better,
No,
because
you
I admit I'm a little
you
gray
can
on this.
open it again and close it again before.
Right, but I'm just trying to say the purpose of opening the warrant is to get one random town person says, I want this on the warrant, they can ask us to put it on. But also, each department realizes there is now deadlines that if you want something in your department, get it before the 3 committees and boards that technically answer to this.
Yeah, but
So that's all I'm trying to say is,
there's a difference between a regular town meeting and a special.
right, I don't,
Special is for a special one purpose.
if I'm
You don't
correct, unless they have
want
a
other
whole bunch of
things going
petitions
into
and
it.
signatures, we don't have to accept a general public request. They actually have to have a whole bunch of signatures to actually force us to put it on the warrant, right?
That,
Correct.
Otherwise, it's just a request to put it on the warrant, and we can individually, as a board, say, yeah, go ahead and put it on. So,
For a special, you usually do not leave the warrant open very long.
understood.
We're looking for a 1 week period for leaving it open, I believe. Yeah.
Did the finance committee discuss special town meeting yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
never knew what our feelings were.
Yeah.
I'm just asking
So, yeah.
because.
What our.
Yeah, you were-
Counting backwards
Yeah.
from the 14th,
For the-
when do we need to
yeah,
post
for-
the
for
warrant
the
again,
record.
so the clerk has
Hold
the
on 1
time?
second.
Yeah. But just saying, for the record, the finance committee was not in favor of a special. They were looking to hold everything until the annual, but just putting it out there, so.
I'll tell you what I had thought. I had thought either the 13th of this month or the 14th for closing.
Of the warrant?
Yeah,
The 13th of September,
yeah, or the
Close.
4th,
So he's
14th.
saying a
Yeah.
week,
and then.
a little
close
bit
in
more
when?
than a week.
a little
from-
bit more than a week. Because this week, tomorrow's Wednesday already,
So he's saying close a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, but you really should meet with the finance committee first,
Okay. Yeah.
even before you open a warrant.
No, we can do that. We don't have to meet with the finance committee to open a warrant. We can do that. That law is pretty clear.
I know you can, Charlie, but for the best interests.
This is that we promised that we stated very clearly at the annual town meeting that this was coming down. So I think we can do that, and we can
I
open
know
a,
you can do it,
and we're going to do
but I
it.
don't know. My feeling is I do not know if it is to the best interest of the people of the town and the town.
Well,
It
Understood.
depends what you want to put on that, and that's what we asked at the
Mhm.
last finance committee. We need to know what exactly
Well, I
are
think.
you doing?
Here's what I think, it's in the best interest of the town because we have a capital plan. We agreed, we stated this pretty emphatically at the town meeting, the annual, that we were gonna be doing this. It was pretty clear. And if we don't follow through on doing this, then our capital plan is just gonna drop by the wayside. There's no question in my mind on that.
Thing I'm looking towards is the future.
This
For
is the
budget-
future.
For the budget in June to run the town.
Yeah.
Right, but this
And
is
we
the,
may need some monies.
this
You
is
know,
the
you
future.
can't-
I think the only concern I would have is that you're pulling out a stabilization, which
Yeah.
means that each article would require 2/3.
We're also gonna be pulling out free cash too.
What's our deadline
is
for
no
the,
free cash
what's the
right now.
deadline?
I know
for-
there,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to be done in November.
Hopefully.
Well, it will be.
And we should not be spending that November free cash before the June meeting.
No, that, I don't,
Because we will have no money in June, and we are gonna need it in June.
but we also stated that this was, and we had a capital plan, so we wouldn't have any capital plan for this particular fiscal year. You just put it off. Do you follow what I'm saying? We had a whole bunch of capital items that we took out at
We
the,
left off, yeah.
yeah,
And
and,
that's what I think you would look at. And I looked at some of them, and some of them aren't needed.
well, that may be, but I think
Like
we
tearing
need,
down the horse
we
barn
need
at
to
Fulton
open the
Field.
whole-
We don't need that.
but we need
can
to.
leave that for another year.
We need to open the warrant, though,
You know.
to do this, and I think, it would also give an impetus to get the free cash figures in and everything, like we used to be able to do. But I think,
Yes, but
if
we
we don't
always
follow
save
the,
that money for the June meeting.
yeah, but if we don't follow the,
We have to get back to that.
yeah, if we don't follow the plan, then for this particular fiscal year, I'm not saying everything goes, but
Well, that's what I need to see is
I think it's,
what you plan on putting on there. and
What a-
then see if we agree, as the finance committee meets and agrees.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if you had the warrant close, before the 20th meeting, we would have an idea.
Okay, I don't mind
We would
leaving
be
it
able-
open like that, but I think we need to have the town meeting. Just, you have to keep your word on this plan if you're gonna follow it. And if you put everything off, that plan is gone, because then the department, you're gonna have, just like we used to do with everybody coming in at the same time. You'll be off one whole fiscal year. That's my point.
Well, I look at, like, them desperately needing trucks. There are a few departments. They never bought them until the end of the year.
I understand all
You know,
those,
they don't need them.
yeah, I understand those issues, but I'm just
You
saying,
know,
we need to
that's,
have the warrant open, and there were things that were needed that we need to have done. And there'll still need to
Well, I guess
be,
what I'm asking is, I wanna know, what are those things?
well, you'll know after we
You know.
get the warrant closed.
And we need to know those before, how can I say this, before, so that we can either yes or no as a finance committee with the selectmen. So we can stand as
I would recommend this.
a unit, you
We
know?
I
Close the
underst-
warrant.
Yeah, I figure we can come to an agreement, but we still have to open the warrant. Right? You got plenty of
I
time.
would think you could discuss it before you open the warrant.
Excuse me?
Couldn't you discuss it before you open the warrant? What would prevent
How
you
can
from
we
doing
accept
that?
something, how can we act on something if it hasn't gone on?
You don't have to act on it, you can discuss it
Okay.
and bring it out as to what you were looking to do.
All right, we'll hold it open an extra, whatever. I don't mind, but I just wanna make sure we stay on the plan as close as we can. That's what I'm working.
But I guess what we're asking is, what exactly are you, you know? We have no idea.
This is what I
And
think
we
the
shouldn't
steps
be
are to get
kept
that
in the
answer.
dark.
What?
Starting
We
tomorrow,
shouldn't be kept in the dark.
the capital planning
You're not-
committee is
we're
going
doing
to
it right
discuss
now.
the items they believe would be important for this special town meeting or whatever else they're working on. They
Yeah.
got their own agenda, so I don't want to speak for them because that would be
Right.
improper. But they're gonna work through their agenda tomorrow, and our goal is hopefully that they'll come out with, these are our recommendations for a special town meeting capital set of our articles.
Things that
We'll
are
leave it at that,
absolutely needed.
without being necessarily using the right words, but what should be included in the warrant. Then, we should have time to review that on the 18th under our regular selectmen's meeting. And then on the 20th, we could meet with you guys and try to take all of that and determine the final items that should be on the warrant and what we believe the value of that should be. So, it could be as simple as we open it
Today.
well, we could open it today, or we could open it on the 13th and close it at midnight on the 20th. I mean, we could just do it for a week, but we don't start until the 13th. I don't know how much of that difference that makes, other than, because if people want something on the warrant and they're watching this, they're gonna run and get their petition starting today anyway. So it's not like being open from now to the 20th versus just from the 13th to the 20th is really gonna keep people from getting anything in to request it to be on the warrant.
I think a petition isn't included in that open process, because if there's a petition with the sufficient signatures, it automatically has to be on the
Mhm.
warrant. So I think the warrant open and close part wouldn't apply
You don't
to
have to receive
those.
it prior to that because the town clerk has their deadlines to meet a date, so you can't throw something in after she has to file. Whatever she has to do with the state, saying this is the warrant and this is what's gonna be at the meeting.
Well, the warrant has to be posted.
So there is a deadline, I just don't know what it is.
It's 14 days. The warrant has to be posted 14 days prior to special town meeting,
Okay, so that would mean
October 25th.
November 1st.
October 25th.
So you're saying 14 business days?
It's 14 straight days.
Okay.
And we're talking about the meeting on November 14th. Why is it
Maybe it's
October
business days.
25th versus
I just did it
November
out with
1st?
Ellen today. It's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there may be something incorporated
not be the
with not
weekends then,
including weekends,
correct.
okay. And that's perfectly fine, I'm just trying
One
to
of them
think it
was straight
through.
days, one of them was business days.
So we have to the 25th, we'll say the 24th, so we can really put the pressure on Ellen before we tell her exactly what to put on it.
No, we do the warrant. Ellen does not do the warrant. The
Yeah.
warrant has to be posted, meaning it has to be 100%, you guys have to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
14.
Who posts it?
The constables.
Under your request or the town clerk's request?
We give it to the town clerk because she's the final.
That's what I
sign-
meant.
She's
She
the
gives
final
it-
sign off on it.
Yeah.
But we prepare the whole warrant.
Right, but I mean, putting pressure on her is, here's all the warrants,
No.
have them
No,
all
they're
posted
done.
tomorrow.
The
No.
articles are done when they go to her.
Yeah, the whole.
That's what I'm
document-
saying, but
Yeah.
she's still gotta contact a constable and have them posted the next day.
Yeah.
That's what I meant, the pressure. I'm not talking about developing and writing
Yeah,
the
the
warrant.
pressure's on us.
Say,
Yeah,
Yeah.
not on Ellen,
Okay.
but,
get them together.
right.
All right, either way, I'm
But
fine
they
with
don't
it.
get you the
What's your recommendation for opening, closing the warrant dates?
I'm open, whatever, I'm open on it, you know, if you wanna go till,
Well, I'll just say, I make a motion to open the warrant on the 13th and close the warrant on the 20th at midnight. And that allows us to fit in the various different boards and committees before we finally say this is what should be on
What was
it.
that again? I'm sorry.
Make a motion to open the warrant on September 13th and close the warrant on September 20th at midnight. And so we can all have our final say and hopefully have enough information to send to the finance committee meeting before the meeting.
yeah.
Well,
So
it
that they
doesn't-
can prepare and then we're just discussing at the meeting,
Yeah,
not
that's-
surprising them.
I don't have any problem with
That
that.
doesn't work,
Why?
because if you close it on the 20th, it's not gonna be closed before you meet with them.
It doesn't have to be closed before we meet with them. The whole point is not closing it before we meet, so they can tell us, no, you probably shouldn't put that on there.
So if people come in at 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night and hand in articles, you're not gonna have time to discuss it. You should close it the day before so that we have time to type it up, you know, kind of put it in all together. Unless you guys just want a pile of.
I don't wanna
requests.
close it before we talk to them. I
When
want
do you
their input,
pull
is what I'm
articles
trying,
out?
maybe I'm missing something in this process that I don't realize.
Still
They
trying
do.
to learn the process
But
myself.
do they do that
Okay.
after it's, you open warrant?
Yeah, you open the warrant, close the warrant, and then what I do is I take the warrant articles and I put them into a warrant format. And then what you do is you review them and decide, yes, we want this, yes, we do, no, we don't. And they come off then, and then a revised warrant gets created with the articles that you choose to keep on the warrant. But what you're saying is you want it to end the day you want to discuss it, which means I can just give you a pile of requests, and that's how you'll discuss it.
Well, that's what I want because
So when do you choose?
I
when?
don't want to accidentally not include something on the warrant that after
Yeah.
discussion with them,
You-
it's almost a horse trade where they're like, you know what, we think this
Close
is
it
better than
after
that.
meeting.
Claire had explained you can open it, so say something emergency comes in after the fact, something comes in after, you are able to open it and close it that day if you needed to.
Can you open
But when,
it
but the
and
process
take
is.
something off of that, off the one, and close it?
Well, either way, we
Well, you
don't
don't-
have to
well,
close
you-
it for you to create a draft warrant for us to
They-
review.
they
You can
do
still
not-
put it on that same document.
They're not voting on the warrant while it's open, if that's what you're asking. It doesn't have to be open for them to
I'm
vote on
wondering, when
taking
do they
articles
go
off.
through it and cross off?
After it's closed, once it's all put together.
And then they go over it and take off what they don't want on there?
Correct, yes,
Mhm.
so that's
But
why.
it's after it's closed?
Yeah, I wasn't
Correct.
saying I didn't
Okay.
want you doing that. I just
Okay.
wanted,
That,
I
I
didn't
was
want it
trying to
open.
get how it's done, because I know you do
Part, Matt.
Yeah.
pull things off.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I didn't say I didn't want to do that with you. I didn't want it open.
What I
too
don't
long.
get is why, if the potential for meeting the finance committee is to potentially write things off or add things after, which means we would have to reopen and close it for whatever purpose, why we would do that rather than just you write it up as a draft,
Leaving-
just like it's the warrant, but
leaving
it's
some
not.
out in case they come in after the fact.
Why would you leave
Because
anything
you
out?
said the 20th by midnight, which
Right.
would be after the meeting.
Well, they.
Well, you're writing a draft,
They,
which you'll rewrite the next day if we add something in. It's just
Just have
a
the
Word
20th.
doc or whatever form you're using
Have
it. It's a
Anything
draft.
comes in after the meeting, we don't.
20th at 3 o'clock, and then we can go over.
You just
whatever
add
we
it,
got.
and
I don't think we're gonna have a great disagreement with.
I just
you
think there's
folks
less
anyway.
chance of
No, we're
procedural
just
votes to
being
extend it.
cautious.
I just wanna get
If
back
we
to
just
the
wait
plan,
till
so we
after.
keep it intact, that's all I want.
The only thing I'm asking is if you close it the day before, you're planning on meeting with them. That way, the day of your meeting, the next,
Yeah,
so it
we can
closes-
discuss it.
Well, we have a chance to put it together in draft form to bring to you that night. So if
Yeah.
you'd like to have it for the 20th, I'm only asking that you close it on the day before.
The 19th.
That- You're missing my point. Why can't you do that draft form based on what you received without having to close it?
It's a working copy.
That's a draft. That's the
I
word
can,
draft.
But what if some are received after the fact? Are you guys planning on meeting the following week
It's
again
no
then?
different than us voting something out. You still gotta rewrite it.
Well, we'll have to meet after fact anyway, before the town meeting, in order to make the
Yeah.
final version. So it's just, the
Well,
rest gonna meet
so
before and the rest
so
gonna
what
meet
should
after.
happen is the warrant should open, the warrant should close. The selectmen and the finance committee should review a draft. You should vote whether all the articles are staying, if you're pulling
Yeah.
some off, whatever. Then, legal counsel reviews it, we make sure it's all written up in real form for the warrant. You will vote to sign the warrant, and then it gets posted. So you're kind of overlapping a step, I guess, in my mind is how I'm seeing this. I guess I would like to
So-
see you guys close the warrant, us develop a draft, have a meeting to discuss it, and then go from there. Does that
And
make
when
sense?
you
That makes
when
sense.
you discuss
That's what I
that,
was
then-
thinking, that's why I wanted it a little shorter, so then we could do it.
And I'm
I'll do it
only
either
asking-
way. I'm guessing
I'm only
it's-
asking for the day before, that way it gives us Wednesday that day to create it.
So it doesn't really matter when they close the warrant, that wouldn't be the warrant, that
The
would be
warrant's not
going
finalized
to-
at that point, no,
No.
because they can decide to take articles off at that point.
Yeah.
The warrant
Okay.
is not finalized, it's just a matter of submission
When
You
period.
just
it
can't
is
add
over,
things
I
without
think.
reopening the warrant.
Correct.
When does
And
it
that
get finalized?
was what I'm trying
Well,
to
Andrew and
avoid
I,
is,
How did,
right.
reopening the warrant's not a big deal.
Actually, we can finalize it right up to the minute.
It
and just
somewhat
table it.
is because it
Yeah,
becomes
like we did
a
last
whole new.
spring, right? We tabled, yeah, we
Never
took a
mind.
whole bunch of
It's-
stuff off
It's
the
no
board
more
then
of a
before
big
the
deal than what
meeting.
you're asking, so it's all the same. It's
Yeah,
just,
I don't think it's.
do you
That's
like to
my
go
only
left or right
concern.
What?
around the island?
my
It's-
only
it's really,
concern is that
from my
it's-
perspective.
you can take, if we really disagree on something that you have on the warrant, that you can take it off if you so
Yeah.
choose.
It's all the same to me.
After
I
that.
think
So-
I think, you know, we'll be in agreement on most of this stuff.
I guess the only thing I have to say is everything that we're looking at for special town meeting is stuff that should come right in. If somebody knows they need something, wants something, it's gonna come right in. You know, it's not like you're gonna come up with some last minute ditch to buy a, I don't know, I'll pick on the DPW, you know, a $200,000 excavator. You're not gonna last minute effort be like, hey, I think I'm gonna want that excavator. They know right now what did not go on to annual town meeting.
Right.
So,
But one thing that will come up that wasn't presented at the last capital planning committee process or the final capital things we wiped out was the police department asking for 3 cruisers.
Yeah.
So that's gonna change the whole thing based on us sitting with finance committee,
right, but here's.
what's more
Here's
important.
We
the-
don't
here's
have
the
to
catch
do
on-
that.
Here's the catch on that. So, we open and close the warrant, well, capital committee may not meet between now and then, and so,
Right.
do we just disregard the capital planning committee's job, or? You
And
know?
open it and put it on
We'll
again.
discuss this with them tomorrow.
Yeah.
I kinda wanted to hold my comments on the capital plan because I know it hasn't been vetted through them. But my biggest concern on the capital plan as it currently constitutes is that it doesn't give a clear perspective on how we pay for a lot of these things. Because I'm looking at the first year capital planning items that were all put on a bond anticipation note, and then we went into town meeting and only funded for interest payments. So I think that if we're going to fund anything, we need to make a clear plan as far as how we're going to pay for it before we
Mhm.
actually before we actually go and buy,
Mhm.
commit to buying them.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's at least my,
Yeah.
my comment on that.
So
So
maybe
that's a little
tomorrow-
treasurer input.
Right, and I've asked her to provide me some debt service numbers as far as if we want to pay off those bonds in the next, 5, 10, in increments between the 5 to 10 year mark, as far as how much that impact would be, because, we might consider taking money, I had brought this up at the finance committee, but we might consider, rather than taking that money to invest in new capital items, invest that money into creating a capital stabilization account, taking a portion of that to put toward principal on the payments, or on the capital plan for the previous year, and then maybe a portion of that, commit that toward the FY18 capital plan. It might not fund all of it, but it'll fund a portion. And that is how we, and then going forward in developing future capital plans, we'll see what we actually have for leftover revenues, and then rank things based off of actual need and financial status, rather than just to stick to the plan. We need to buy all this stuff and then pay it off in the future. But that's at least
Gotcha.
how I would like to see the process pay out.
That's the way we kind of used to do it. I can remember doing it that way.
So maybe capital planning committee could be available on that 20th meeting too?
Speak with them
Yeah.
and see if they.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of everybody's there, and, because we are on not a really huge time constraint, but it'll get
No,
closer.
I mean, if we have to, we can always
Right.
push the town meeting back.
So
too.
what's your
We don't
pleasure
have
on
to have
this
it November, whatever we
warrant?
decided. Can have it in December or
Alright.
January or,
Now, have
I
you
guess-
gotten anything from the police on the cruisers and the mileage and that you
not
had
yet.
asked for?
No, and I
Because
don't,
at the finance committee, we had asked for,
yeah, I'm not sure we
a
can,
copy of that,
wait,
because they were all interested in.
I'm not sure we can do all that, or should do all that.
If you just let them know that if they're gonna put it on we request to put it on the warrant, we're gonna need that info to make a decision.
Yeah.
I would revise my original motion, so I'll make a motion to open the warrant on the 12th and close it on the 19th for preparation of draft documents for review with various committees on the 20th.
What's that, next week, Tuesday?
So, yeah, and that'll give us the 18th while it's still open to sit and discuss things if we want, with Greg involved.
Okay, that's fine. That's your motion?
That's my motion.
With the town meeting being on November the 14th? That was the day, right, wasn't it, Fay? We can do it, we don't have to do that day. I mean, you can do it in January or, I mean, whatever.
Well-
You had said November, that's why.
Yeah,
we
I know
looked
we
at
talked
November.
about it at different things in the fall, but it doesn't have, the day was just a day. As far as I'm concerned, I just want to make sure we can kind of adhere to that plan. I know some things probably won't happen,
And even if free cash is not necessarily certified, we should at least know where our free cash is at that point. So that'll let us know whether or not we can really afford to take something out of stabilization.
That'd be,
So,
yeah, I was hoping we'd be at least closer to the number we think we're at least submitting.
right, we'll know if we're at 200, if we're at $100,000 or if we're at $800,000.
Right.
We'll know where we are.
So yes, with the special town meeting date for November 14th. So
okay. And that was your motion?
that is my
For the
motion.
opening and closing, okay. Then I will second. Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote in favor.
Aye.
You're all set with that thing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Where was I? Okay, did you have anything you wanted to report on?
The only thing I would say is I've just been working a little bit with the business community of Barry, kind of our local business group that's working together. They've been moving forward with a private effort to provide, sponsored by the various business communities included with that group, some movie night things that they would do for the town, as well as the idea of putting a kayak launch down off of Wheelwright Road. We got some town property right there next to the bridge, at, just before Adams Road, I believe, if I'm accurate with where it's located. They're working with some of the various committees, just trying to get some feedback to figure out what it would take. So it's not anything formal yet, but it's a goal they're trying to get some feedback on to see where they're gonna go. I support both of them, and they're moving forward. They've gone from, we think we like the idea, to becoming formally a Barry business community for Barry, and they're creating, I think they've already identified their chairman and treasurer type roles, and so they're going to be strong for the town. This is going to be a nice thing to see the group of businesses working together to be a common voice in a way for businesses. I know that it's important to have a little bit of common from your business and helping us figure out a positive way to create some economic development in the town. So to me, I'm glad to see it, and I think they're doing some type of open, not open necessarily, what is it? They're opening it up for other business members to see if they want to be a part of it. They're going to have a meeting, I think, September 11th.
Yep.
At the listening center. So look them up. You can get more details, but if you're a local business owner and you're not aware of or affiliated with the group, this would be a good meeting for you to attend to get a better idea of the general idea, direction, mission, what they're hoping to do for the town. Other than that, I have no more to say.
Okay, I don't have very much. Before we move to the administrator's report, Richie, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah,
Or?
just a couple of questions for the board, Charlie. I know I'm not on the agenda, but I know if
That's
you
okay.
recognize me or not.
You can see it's pretty quiet
I
tonight.
saw that, that's why I stopped in. The first thing, I know when you guys appointed our new building inspector, when George had left, that she made it clear that she was not gonna be in charge of our buildings. You know, George,
Yeah,
check on all
not
that.
going to be the facilities person per se.
Correct. I was just wondering if you folks have looked into filling that position or making one, because, you know, winter's right around the corner. And, you know, a pipe burst in the town hall, the heat goes out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been following you guys' meetings, and it seems like the town hall's become a very popular rental property. And one of the, you know, just a concern of mine, and like right now, there's lights on in the town hall that have been on since last Friday, they're still on tonight. You know, I know that's petty money-wise, but
It's still something you would catch otherwise.
More concern of something happening when it's not occupied, nobody checking it.
Right.
You know, the senior center, the town hall. I was just curious if you folks had thought about pursuing that in any way, or just bringing it to your attention. Me as a resident, I have concerns about buildings going unlooked at.
Yeah, we had thought about it, and I know after, you know, a few weeks ago when we had that alarm thing go off up there in the thunder shower, you know, I was down talking to Bob about that. And some of the issues related to what triggered it and so on. So, yeah, I'm aware of that.
I didn't know there was an issue.
Yeah, but, well, it wasn't really a big issue, but there was, some water did come in and, you know, just one of those.
You know, the winter months coming, all these rental people.
No, but it's something,
Stop,
yeah, I don't know.
open,
Yeah, it just happened. So, yeah, we're aware of that. So, working on, okay, Matt.
One of the things that I think we may have hinted at during the various town hall use of town property requests that we've had in the last few meetings was, and I don't want to say we really got deep into this, it's just part of it was my own thoughts and part of it might have actually been table talk discussion. But I thought we had talked about possibly looking at Tony, our municipal custodian, who does, what, the library here in town hall.
Mm-hmm.
Doing more stop-ins at town hall in between uses for check-ins, just to check the building and give us a heads up, hey, is there an issue over here? Should we be paying attention? So it doesn't sit for 4 days necessarily in the winter without someone going in. Some of that might be having a look at and review the job description and then find out if he's interested. The real key for him would probably be more the phone numbers that he has in his back pocket, so when he sees something, he knows who to call, not necessarily to deal with it himself. Unless you want to get to that level and he has the ability, that's, I don't even know if we've even talked about other than just spend the hour and use it according to your hourly rate versus do we need to do a job description and actually see if it changes his job. But I know that it was one of the things talked about, because we have indicated a few times since Andrew's taken on that, I mean, officially, it's all Andrew's responsibility because we don't have someone in place, so it falls on him because he doesn't have someone to appoint it to. So finding that, how did the communication go from either the client or town people using the building, or even just our custodian, who's gonna report to who and how is that gonna happen on off hours or weekends, I believe is a plan that we still kinda need in place. But I do know that we brought it up. I'm sure Andrew has not necessarily forgotten that it's something he's gotta do, but we've actually asked him to deal with a lot of other priority items lately, so I could understand if it's not been his #1 priority yet. When we hit the 30-degree days and 10 minus 5-degree nights, it's much bigger, but.
I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention because it's been a while since the new one. The second thing, thank you.
Yeah.
The second thing, a few meetings back, unfortunately, Mr. Sullivan's not here tonight. He brought to you fellas that he had contacted the Department of Revenue and set up a meeting with them to come in and meet with the tax collector and the accountant. You folks remember that?
Yeah, this goes back a little ways.
Yeah,
A
it was like
couple
in the
months.
spring,
Yeah.
around annual town meeting time. I was just curious, did that meeting take place?
Yes, it did.
And how did it go, if you can comment on?
I went
were
to-
there, right?
Yeah, I went to the meeting. It was an afternoon meeting. They actually didn't tell us very much. And for some reason, they seemed to feel things were worse than what they actually were. And when they came back, it was, other than the free cash being certified, they didn't come back with anything at all.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was just that, and they came in, and, you know, I think the tone for the meeting, well, you've dealt with them before, got a little bossy with some of our employees, and I didn't take too kindly to that. It's not their issue. But once we got things straightened out, fine. Yeah, I don't think they had any recommendations at all, actually.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it did take place, just before the town meeting, a
Right.
couple weeks maybe, something like that, I can't recall.
Yeah, being a member of the finance committee, I was just curious of, because we never heard of anything that.
Yeah,
part
well,
of the meeting.
Yeah, that's what came out of it.
The second part.
Pretty much is meet your deadlines moving forward, and
Yeah.
they're not gonna wanna come back. But if we don't make our deadlines, they're gonna come back.
Another question I had on that particular article, whatever grant you want to call it. Mr. O'Sullivan reached out to that board, the department, and set up a meeting, but he never brought us to this board. You people never voted on having them people come into our town. That should have been.
That's right,
That should have been a vote by the board.
that's right, they can,
Board of Selectmen to go
yeah.
out on its own and make decisions for the whole town of Barry, just one.
Well, I
person.
think, let me explain. We didn't ask for the meeting.
I understand that. Joe.
Yeah, so they came, they did not want more than one member there. I really wanted to have the meeting at a night meeting because I felt it was. They weren't gonna come out unless it was done the way it was done.
They wanted it
No, I
informal
understand that
because
part.
they
Yeah,
didn't
I
want it
can't
to
do,
be
you
a
know,
slam
that's
down.
why I'm saying, that's one of the reasons I was a little irritated at them. They don't decide our meetings.
Right.
And to me, the fact that they didn't want the press and everybody there, and, you know, I'm pretty open on things. And-
Well, the point out, maybe I'm not saying it right, Charlie, is Mr. O'Sullivan went out as a Board of Selectmen member and set up this meeting without the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
I understand, yeah, that I understand, or I don't know the circumstances of how they were contacted, it wasn't.
Well, he stated.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, it was brought before us before the meeting occurred.
Correct, it was brought to you by Mr. O'Sullivan sitting over there.
Mhm.
Said he talked to him and said they're interested in this type of meeting.
He contacted him and set up a meeting with our town.
He did not. He contacted them and started the process of setting up a meeting. That meeting was not even set until after he came back to this board, because I was also talking to the same people outside of this meeting to understand what their thoughts were about it.
And did you vote at a meeting to
No, we
set a
did
meeting
not.
up?
No, they didn't.
No, actually, what we agreed to is Charlie would attend and we wouldn't, because they wanted the informal. So we said, Charlie, you can attend. So we didn't vote, but we all discussed it and said, Charlie, you can attend.
You said-
Because it was an
Yeah.
informal meeting, not intended to be a public meeting, because that's the only way they wanted to participate.
I understand that part, man. The part I'm saying is the board's action on this meeting. You're stating now.
We were all well aware that this meeting was going to occur before it did.
And you stated, you just said that at a selectmen's meeting, all three decided that Charlie was gonna attend.
But I did not,
We agreed he would be the one to represent the board.
yeah, once they wanted to meet, but
We didn't even have a date yet. We just said when they wanted informal, Charlie, you can represent the board. And that's all we said, because it was going to be informal. It
That
was-
was said at a
Right, but in
selectmen's
term-
meeting.
That's how I remember it.
in terms of
That's the
asking.
best
for-
answer I got right now. It's how I
In
remember
terms
it.
of
Well, that should
asking,
be in the minutes of the meetings.
in terms of
I
asking for
think
the
so.
meeting,
I would hope so. It's a decision being made on that.
well, I understand, Richie. In terms of asking for the meeting, it was, to the best of my knowledge, it was not discussed with the board.
Because I remember distinctly.
I think a
watching
board
the meeting
member can, and you were on the board, can make calls on things if they wish.
And bring it back
and-
to everybody.
Well, you can still make an inquiry if you want.
But that's right, Todd, but I mean, you make your inquiry, get your information, then you come back to the board.
Yeah, I
and you
understand.
make a
Yeah, I think
decision based on-
I get what you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just get copies of the minutes, because maybe I'm wrong, but I don't.
Minutes aren't written and approved yet.
Excuse me,
The minutes have not been written and approved yet.
back in June?
Yeah, maybe.
Correct.
Why's that?
I haven't finished them yet.
Oh,
We're working on them.
okay. That's all I had.
Okay,
Thanks a lot, you guys.
okay, but I think the
Listening to me.
meetings have been very open, the best of my ability to have them open. and-
I agree, Charlie, but that one in particular.
I understand. No, I understand it was done as
The way it was presented
one
to the
individual,
board.
and the next thing I knew, they were coming out. And
Well, I mean, before I leave, I was watching your meeting earlier tonight, and you guys are discussing the fence around Seven Hills and stuff. I noticed the new building that they just put up, out towards the back.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
that housing for the staff?
I don't know, and I've heard that, but I don't know. And that was one of the things I think we need to get to the bottom of this with. I know we can't zone people out, but at the same time, I don't think, well, you heard me say it, I don't believe that they have a right to circumvent our zoning. They
Well,
still
my
have.
understanding was that the clients, I guess you'd call them, stay in the main buildings, except for some are in the right.
Yeah, I don't know who's in what building, but I know
But the other houses are for the staff members.
that's what I've heard that, but I
I was
don't,
just curious of this new staff member building, why did they put a fence around that? Is that to keep staff in, or?
I don't know.
Is there a fence around it, you're saying?
There is. Just thought,
The new building
Yeah,
is a
I-
cost of them. The
Yes,
35 beds and
that could make a comment in its own
I
right.
thought I had heard the other, that it was for people that aren't considered the high priority offenders. It was, like you're saying, more a foster home,
They said
a
they-
placement
they
house,
have
not
no
a,
way to place the foster kids, so they're putting them in homes out here.
And just for the record,
That we're gonna pay
talk
for our
around
books.
town, and I talk to a few people every day. The word is that Andrew's doing a great job, keep it up, Andrew.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
know.
guys, have a good night.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks, Richie.
20th, we have a meeting, you said?
Correct.
Okay.
Thanks.
I put the agenda and I already lost it. See that? I put it together and I lost it.
I think we've made it through everything,
Okay.
except Andrew's reported, sorry.
I guess we're all set with whatever you have for us.
Yeah, so just, you know, a few brief updates. So with the town website, at this point, we've submitted a check to them for the first year. Once they receive that, then we're going to begin the development process. A little bit of good news on that. I've gotten a few inquiries, or a few responses back for, as far as pictures for the site. But also, I was able to get all of the pictures that were taken for that site that we had discussed, that we had put the initial deposit down on. We were able to receive all those pictures, so those will all be
Oh,
considered
all
as
right,
part
that
of,
was nice.
part of the new website as well. And I even went out today and took a few pictures because the weather was beautiful, so.
Nice.
Hopefully,
We'll have some good
hopefully-
choices to work with.
Yeah, hopefully we can take some this week, and then in a few weeks when the colors start changing, just so that we have a little bit of the season feel to it. Also, we had a launch meeting today for the Viewpoint software. I know Faye was involved in that and has access to that this time, so they are starting the development process on that. That's moving along really fast, and I think they're looking at mid-October.
Actually, October 2nd is the
October
date
2nd.
they gave us. Andrea and I are very hopeful that we're gonna beat that date.
Okay.
Williamstown just completed their launch and they were done in 20 days, so we're gonna try to beat 20 days
All right.
to go live, that is.
As far as IT stuff, at the end of this week, I have the bid due for the managed IT service that I put out based off of Ashburnham's RFQ. But I was actually supposed to meet with Maureen Marshall today. Our meeting got pushed out because she had another commitment that Jessica wasn't aware of at the same time that we were scheduled to meet. But we will be meeting, and I want to discuss with her the potential of possibly their IT staff. Being an option for us as far as a resource, and possibly looking at what they could provide if we decide to go into an agreement with them to do oversight of our IT. It's just kind of like just as a preliminary discussion. It doesn't might not go anywhere, but just as a suggestion. So I've submitted the Community Compact Cabinet Best Practices grant applications for the two policies that we had discussed. There were ability to submit up to 2 options, so I did submit both of them. And then also I provided you that financial update. It was a little bit more of an updated version than you had originally got in your original packets. I also received a digital copy of the Town of Ware's financial forecast document that the Division of Local Services put together for them. I'm hoping to be able to take that and tailor that to our town, so that way we have a kind of a roadmap of as far as where we want to go for the next 5 years based off of trends in our revenues and expenses. That's all I got for right now.
Okay. Okay, questions or?
Just a second. See if I can bring my thought back together. I had this little trailing thought that bounced in and out since we started the warrant discussion in capital. Trying to see if it'll come back. Oh, one thing, if I'm correct, capital improvements to Ruggles Lane are a town thing, not a school budget, unless the school budget throws it into theirs, but that doesn't really work. So if I'm correct, they had 2 or 3 capital items that they had submitted before for Ruggles Lane. I think it was kind of like the teacher's lounge area, the sidewalks and parking lot, and maybe something else. But if we could make sure that we have that information so that we can review that also to see if it's something we should throw into the special town meeting for one, it's still got to be part of our capital plan
would
either
have-
way, so I'd just like to know if that's something we should be considering.
That would be come in as a request from school when the warrants open. That comes in as a request from.
Well, I'm asking you to grab it and put it in front of
Try
us,
to
because
throw
we
it
can
to
throw
them.
it on too. It doesn't have to come from them.
We
They've
try to
already
include it.
submitted it for the last one that we just said no to everything, so it's not like they haven't submitted it
Try to
once.
include it into the capital plan as far
Yeah.
as a, you know, at least
Somebody came in
identify
and
funds.
gave us a whole list of those.
Excuse me?
Somebody came in.
Back in the day.
Finance.
Yeah, back in the spring it came in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They came in and said what was going
Yeah.
to be needed in the future.
right, and then they,
You must have those
Well,
minutes.
no, I
What
think,
was that?
correct me if I'm wrong, when they came in, they said that in an effort to lower their budget,
yeah.
they did not include the capital items
Yeah.
Well,
And they
prior to
said
that,
something
they-
would
in their budget.
But they gave a list of them. I know one was the
Mm.
parking lot, because I've heard the
Yeah.
sidewalks are all up and down, and it's all,
And it might be something where we might not be able to fund, say, the whole parking lot, but maybe we can fund the sidewalks.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I mean, to just,
that was one that I remembered and I thought.
because that's
yeah.
not chapter 90, I don't think, because
No,
it's not
it's not
roadways,
chapter-
so we can't.
No, we
So we
can't.
would have to fund that separately.
Yeah, they're not
But they
gonna-
gave us a list. or
yeah,
something.
I have it somewhere,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know what we wanna do, but,
So I just think it's, if we can make sure that information's available when we sit down, I think it's something we should consider, because they made a really nice gesture for us this year with the budget, and I think we just need to not forget, one of the statements we said is, cutting that budget is intended to help us, help the rest of the town, and we can't do that. Well, this whole process of the special town meeting is kind of following up with, this is why we asked you to cut the budget. And if we don't, then it's gonna be, like Charlie said, we said we were gonna do this, we need to,
well, we didn't tell them anything.
no, not their work, I just
Yeah.
meant specifically, we
I
said we planned a
no, I
special town
understand.
meeting.
There's only so much, but we'll kind of piece the thing together.
We'll figure it out.
I don't anticipate a lot of articles.
I'm hoping not, but
I think
we
you'll
do
see
have
a
some
bunch.
high priorities, and I wanna look at things that may also make us more efficient, so I don't wanna,
What I'd like to do is, you know, going into our next year, I'd like to take up everything that's on that capital plan, and then kind of have it reassign, or have that capital committee assign a ranking to it. And I'll show you guys what I'm thinking on it, but it basically takes into all the considerations that could be, you know, that you should consider to develop a total score, and that kind of develops your ranking of how you should take things, so that when you're looking at things, you say, we only have this amount of money for, you know, available, then you're only taking 1, 2, and 3, and, you know, 4, 5, and 6 are being pushed off, rather than saying, we need to fund 1 through 6, and
Go find the
we'll just
money.
pay for it later.
Right.
So,
one last thing I would ask, and it's similarly looking at how do we save money, was where are we at with the Green Communities grant and the lighting upgrades in the 5 buildings?
everything, all the contracts have been signed. I'm just waiting. Everything right now is in CMRPC's hands, and I'm just waiting for them to come back to me to say they're gonna be on site on this day.
Okay, so we're just really
I
waiting
had-
for an
yep.
installation schedule.
That's it. I had one email from them today. They were just looking to confirm an account number for the town hall, and everything else should be all set.
All right. Do you know what that process? I know only so much money was provided for each building, the way it was shown on the sheet for the Green Communities grant. Do we know if the funds for each building covered the complete retrofit?
Yes.
Or is it counting on National Grid incentives to help counter, or are we gonna get a payment for all the incentives separate?
It should include all of the incentives. They know the grant was for $115,000. We met 3 weeks ago, and we had the person from National Grid at the table with CMRPC and confirmed these are the incentives that we'll receive for all this. So the total amount of it is covered. I don't think we'll be providing any extra out-of-pocket payment for National Grid to reimburse us.
No, I guess what I'm asking is, does the grant money cover the whole construction cost, or are you counting on the incentive money to supplement that?
The incentive money will supplement that.
Okay, so we're not
Yeah.
expecting a check for the incentives
No.
as an income, that's all I was wondering.
No, it'll, basically, we'll see the savings in the long run. We won't see a big
Okay.
jump in revenue just because we received a check from National Grid, so.
Okay. Perfect, so this is just a month-to-month savings that'll eventually pay itself off.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, technically, it pays itself off from day one because we're not putting any capital up, so.
True. So if all goes well, by the end of the year, we actually have a, what do they call it,
Surplus?
a surplus in the National Grid Electric account for these buildings, if all goes well. It won't be huge, but whatever it is, hopefully will be helpful.
We're already realizing some savings in the net metering side too, so. I don't know if we've received the next bill from Iron
Solus?
Horse
No,
or Solus?
not yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
so once that comes in, then we'll kind of know what our month-to-month is, because we had that big one payoff that was like 4 months worth, and then we had one small one that was just 1 month. So I think after we get a couple more months in, we'll actually kind of see what trend is for monthly savings.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only catch that we'll see with the so-called streetlights accounts, which pays most of the utilities, we may have to supplement public safety building, because we don't know what kind of electricity they're gonna use. We kind of guesstimate
No, I
on what the
gotcha.
cost was gonna be, so if we see savings here, we may use it here, because it was estimated.
Right, I get you, so
And in
the overall
future-
maybe.
In the future, if we're under our cap, we might consider going for more capacity too.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
do we have anything else? Hearing nothing, I'll look for the appropriate motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, in favor?
Aye.
That one we can get through pretty fast.
All right, we did it before 8:30. Let it be known.